I'm playing. Hello, what's up? What's up, Box? How you doing?
Good, man.
Good?
I
Good.
am great.
Good. It's everyone in the trenches. NFL. Last time we covered AFC East. We gave you the breakdown. We did have a little Cam Newton signing. Nothing changes. We both agree. I don't think anything changes. The only thing that changes is the Patriots will win a few more games, but stylistically it doesn't fit. We'll see what happens. I heard some people say, "Oh, they're automatically Super Bowl contenders now." Relax,
No,
calm down. Too many pieces missing.
I
And
think
that's it.
and I really don't want to talk too much about this, but I think what it could be is going forward, it could be a very good springboard for him personally to show that he's not done. Like people heard, he was unsigned for a long period of time, longer than a former MVP should have been. So maybe he has a good year. He's on a 1-year deal, and maybe some other team next year says, "Hey, this guy's still got plenty in the tank, and he fits our system better than theirs. Let's give him a contract," and maybe it helps him get another contract to finish out his career. But I don't see him being, the heir apparent after Tom Brady or taking them far. I mean, if you look at his numbers, ever since his MVP season, his career's been on the decline. But it's somebody that you can bring in that can help you win, that can help you, go forward. I don't think he's the guy to put you over the top, but he could be somebody that you want on your team and that you need on your team and could help you win a few games that could put you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it's a good situation for him, and that it might be a good situation for the Patriots because now they're not going to tank. They can win a few games, or the fans will be happy. Lord knows with Belichick anything's possible, and maybe he's the holdover until maybe they bring in somebody else or they draft somebody else next year.
Yeah.
That's all. That's really all this is.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, and I think the news is pretty much like how much people talked about it showed how much importance it is. It was, Cam Newton got signed, and it was big for like a few hours, maybe a day, but everyone said their stories, and it's going to be more. Cam Newton has to prove himself, and he has to play. And even though he doesn't have the pieces, he has no excuses. He's with Bill Belichick.
But also
you're MVP now. It's time, and you're a veteran. You got to prove yourself now.
At the end of the day, also, he might be a former MVP and he was in the Super Bowl 4 or 5 years ago. But at the end of the day, he was unsigned for a long time for a reason. His and it's just simple. It's his numbers have gone down. He's not what he was when he was the MVP. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not saying he's not viable. I mean, you got him on a 1-year deal that if he makes his items, it can make 7 years. I mean, it can make $7 million. Great. He's got plenty left in the tank, but he's not the Cam Newton of old. He's taken a lot of hits to that body. He's a big guy, and I love him coming out of college, but he's taken a lot of hits on that body. He's not the same guy. And at the end of the day, even though he's got a great arm, he's not an incredibly accurate drop back passer. He hasn't been. He can make things happen. He could definitely bowl over somebody, run over somebody, run around somebody, stretch out over the top. Yeah, he can do a lot of things to help you get game-winning plays. But he's not what he once was. And I think it's a good signing for the Patriots. I think it's a good signing for him. But I don't think this is like, this is the new joining that's going to help them go forward, both of them. I think this is just a 1-year thing.
Yeah, I agree. And with that being said, there's your Cam Newton talk about. And now one of the most exciting, probably the most exciting division to watch every single year. They're always Sunday Night Football. No matter how bad the teams are, it's always fun to watch them. And that's the NFC East. We both have Dallas winning the division. Dallas is probably the strongest team. Not probably, they are the strongest team in that division. And then Philadelphia probably a close second. Philadelphia does have a very, very hard schedule, like 2 very hard stretches, which usually teams have like one real good stretch where it's like 4 or 5 games. These guys have like 2 stretches of 4 games that is just brutal. So we'll see what they do. We're going to start off talking about the Redskins. They do. We're going to start off talking about the Redskins. They had the second overall pick. They took Young. They have a new coach, Ron Rivera. They're rebuilding. They do have, like we were talking earlier, they do have a lot of defensive pieces, a very strong defense.
I really
some
like their
interesting games.
Yes. Well, I mean, you're talking about a team that has basically 4 former number 1 picks on their defensive front 4. You know, they're going to have the pass rush. They're going to stop the run. They've added pieces to that defense. Rivera's a defensive-minded coach, which they're going to need every bit of it for playing in the NFC East because, I mean, that division is always fun to watch. It's must-watch television. I mean, I remember growing up, I lived in Texas in the early 80s. And Cowboys and Indians, man, Cowboys and Redskins, every single Thanksgiving, that was the game. And it was like, it doesn't matter if one was in the Super Bowl or one was in last place. It didn't matter. It was like, it's a constant rivalry.
And also being a Dolphins fan,
Redskins, Eagles.
The Dolphins and Cowboys have gone at it in Thanksgiving a bunch of times too. Yeah. So, I've always enjoyed watching the Cowboys. I've never really disliked them. But Dallas is a very strong team. But back to the Redskins, which is what we're talking about right now.
I think their downfall is going to be their offense. I don't – listen, and this is not because I'm a fan and he's from Ohio State. I'm not that bitter. I'm not that petty. But I wasn't a huge fan of Dwayne Haskins coming out of college. I think he was just too stiff. And, I mean, his college numbers were mind-boggling. But they were college numbers playing in Ohio State against lesser Big Ten competition when the Big Ten is not what the Big Ten once was, and it made him look all world. And I really don't think he is. I think he could have a good NFL career. I don't think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. And right now he's listed as their starter. And their starting running back, I know they got Adrian Peterson, who is 47 years old. Even though I love AP to death and he's a future Hall of Famer. But, and Darius Geis liked him coming out of college, cannot stay healthy. I don't their offense just does not scare you. If you're Dallas or if you're Philly or if you're the Giants, if you're anybody, you load up and you just go after Haskins and go after that offense all day and hope you can score on that defense. You may be stuck in some games that finish 10-6, some defensive struggles against Ron Rivera's defense. But that offense just doesn't scare me. I mean, yeah, it could be like last year. Yeah, they're going to win a couple of games. They're going to be close. There's a couple of bad teams on their schedule. Maybe they win 4 games. Maybe they win 5 games. But they're not ready. I think what they've done to their defense under Rivera, maybe one more year, and they add some offensive pieces maybe going forward. Maybe they got something because I do like Rivera as a coach. I think he's a great coach. Yeah. But I don't think they're ready offensively. I really don't. I say 4 wins.
Yeah, I think the most important thing here was to get their head coach, which they haven't had a good one since I can remember, like a very long time. So
it's Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, so they got their guy, and I thought when the Panthers let go of Rivera, whoever signed that guy, I didn't think he was done. I don't think that ever came out that he was going to retire or anything like that. But
no.
Whoever got that guy, wherever he went, they were going to have a very good head coach or coach. Anyone, that type of a guy in your staff that has the experience and he's a defensive mind. Teams like this really, really benefit from having coaches like that because, like you said, their offense isn't great, so they're going to have to rely on their defense.
Yeah.
Going forward, it's very interesting. They do have a very good defense.
Yes.
And get a few pieces here and there, maybe, sign some free agent quarterback or draft a quarterback next year, and get a few pieces here and there on offense. And you have a pretty good team moving forward. So he's definitely ahead of the curve as far as rebuilding. It's not like he's rebuilding both sides of the ball.
Right. I
so
agree.
It's going to be fun to watch them, and they're going to be in some close games. But at the end of the day, they're definitely the worst team in the division, and top 10 pick maybe next year.
Yeah, that's fine. But I mean, at the end of the day, you added Chase Young.
Yeah.
And you got a hell of a front 4.
That was the most important thing.
You got a front four that are 4 number 1 picks, pass rush off the edges, stop the run up the middle. They signed Thomas Davis away from Carolina, that played under Ron Rivera when they went to the Super Bowl. They got a good defense. They got a good front seven. They can get after you. They're going to make it tough for you to beat them. Now you may beat them because their offense isn't going to give you a lot of points. So, and their defense might tire out. But their defense is tough, and Rivera's a good coach. He's a tough coach. Win or lose, you're in for a battle. I just think they're at least a year away for offensive talent.
Yeah, like everyone else everyone's very excited to watch Chase Young in the NFL to see.
Yeah.
Yes. He is a absolute monster. I would have loved for him to come to the Dolphins, but
absolutely,
he was going to be a number 1 or number 2 pick for sure. He was if not the best player, he was for sure the second best player.
You can make a legitimate case he was the best player in college football.
Yeah, so he was a great pick. And it's going to be fun to watch a young team with a good coach and rebuilding. At least they have something to look forward to, which is something that the Redskins haven't had. It's
absolutely. And I think Rivera brings a level of stability that they really, really haven't had.
Yeah.
Through Spurrier, through Jay Gruden, through the coaching carousel that you think they got somebody, but they really don't. Yeah. And it's just it's like kind of like the Dolphins. They've had this coaching carousel 3-4 years, and you got to rebuild it. You got to change. And it's with Rivera. Rivera's a guy. He's going to build that defense if he makes the right calls on maybe the offensive coordinator and the offensive game plan and the offensive personnel. They can go forward and get something. He could have a 6, 7, 8, 10-year coaching career turning that team around. He's got to hit on the offensive guys, but I think he brings a lot of stability. I'll be honest with you. I don't know why the Panthers let him go. I really don't, because they fell off a little bit and they got old a little bit, but you had Christian McCaffrey. You can't put it all on Rivera.
The only thing you can think is that he is a little older. He's getting up there as far as coaching years. So the only thing I could get, a lot of young coaches are coming into the NFL now. You're seeing like this very young sort of head coaches that we haven't seen in the past, and most of the head coaches that have been signed recently have been young guys, young-minded coaches.
Yeah, so but that doesn't always work out either, man. That doesn't always work out either. I mean, look at Adam Gase.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. But with the schedule, now the schedule they get Philly at home, they go at Arizona, at Cleveland versus Baltimore at home, the Rams at home, at the Giants, Dallas at home, they'll get their bye, and then they go home at the Giants, at home with the Giants, at Detroit, Cincy, Dallas, Pittsburgh, San Fran, Seattle, Carolina, and they end at Philadelphia. So it's not a super hard schedule, but
it's not.
It's a team that doesn't have an offense.
You're talking about playing the NFC West, number 1. You're gonna have 3, maybe even 4 losses right there. Yeah. You got to play the NFC East, 6 games. That's 10 of your 16 games right there. That's tough. That's super tough. I did hear a couple of games where I say, okay, maybe they're in that one. Maybe they can have that one. That's what I'm saying. 4 or 5 wins, maybe if the ball bounces, maybe they can get up to 6 wins, and they're going to be in games, but I think they're still a year away.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, what do you think Giants, Philadelphia? Giants are their best team? You think?
Yes.
We were talking earlier, Philadelphia does have a very hard schedule. I still think they're the better team than the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
But definitely the best player in this division is in the Giants. Arguably the best player in the whole NFL. It's most exciting running back to watch right now. It has to be Saquon Barkley. He's incredible, and everything that we could have hoped for as football fans, we get him every Sunday. And he did get hurt last year, so he was out a few games. But when he's on the field, he is spectacular, super explosive, everything perfect. It's exactly what we could have gotten as NFL fans. They are rebuilding.
To the end of my, to the end of my days, I will always be able to say that I saw Barry Sanders play live twice. And to me, that's the best thing I've ever seen in my lifetime, especially when I saw him twice live.
We could have a whole episode on that because I think it's
Okay. But Saquon Barkley to me is the best I've seen since Barry Sanders. He is just everything. I mean, he's got the vision, the cutbacks, the cuts. He's got better catching ability than Barry ever did. He's got the breakaway speed. He makes things happen. He could run between the tackles. He could run around the tackles. He could, go 70 yards. He can go 70 yards on a swing pass. He's amazing. His rookie year was like, I remember I would just be, at a bar and just watching the game, like, kind of like not really that much into it. And I would be like, I was just like in awe. I'm like, wow, look at this kid. Like I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was gonna be this good.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking to him. I'm talking about him in the same breath as Barry Sanders. And actually, I saw an interview. I think it was online recently that he actually sat down with Barry Sanders, and Barry Sanders told him, "You remind me a lot of me." And I'm like, yes, I agree with both of you completely. Yes, you are both right. He is
an honor is to have a guy like Barry Sanders talk to you.
I was like,
wow. Come
on. He is that special. If I was the Giants, I would do, which they did in this draft. I think they got the number 1 tackle in the draft in Andrew Thomas, which is a great pick. That guy is,
and coming out of Georgia, which is always known for running backs.
We're talking about that guy is plug and play at the tackle position day one, and you don't have to worry about him.
Yeah.
He is that good. He's that polished.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about him, working out his rookie kinks. No. Start him. He's ready to go. He's damn good, But, yeah, if I'm the Giants, I build the baddest offensive line.
They actually got 2 offensive tackles.
They
got him and another one in the 3rd round. So they're definitely building the offensive line, which is what they need to do to protect him, and also Daniel Jones, which is going into his second year. Yeah, second year.
Yes.
Out of Duke.
I
always liked him.
See, I'm the opposite. I didn't think he was gonna be all that good, and his first couple of games, I was like, damn, I was wrong. But then he kind of came back to earth.
Yeah.
But he's shown a lot more than I thought he had. He's got tremendous athletic ability. He's got tremendous, like, a feel in the pocket, because with that offensive line, you kind of have to have a feel in the pocket because they're coming for you. And these guys weren't blocking all that well. So, he's got a feel for it. He's got good athletic ability. He's got a good arm. Yeah, he's not the all-world talent, whatever, but he's a guy you can build around. And you got Saquon and you got a line, that team going forward can make a lot of good things happen. I think that line just needs to gel. Andrew Thomas needs to step in, and just solidify that line, get Saquon running again, keep him healthy, and keep Daniel Jones upright. And, we're talking about that team could go from, the 3rd overall pick to I've seen numerous reports where some people have them winning 7 games, 8 games.
Yeah.
So, that's not bad.
They can take a big jump.
I don't know why they chose Joe Judge as their coach. I don't know a lot about Joe Judge other than the fact that he used to be the New England Patriots special teams coach when they won the Super Bowl. Young guy, very likable. The front office liked him, etc. You don't know what to expect of him. He's never been a head coach before. At least not to my knowledge. So I don't know how well he's gonna do, but maybe he's got something that he can mesh, that team together. If he can help them develop, they got the pieces. They're getting some pieces, man. You got a running back. You got a line.
They're in a fairly, even the Redskins, like we said, they have a good defense, so it's not going to be an easy game for them either, because their offense, other than Saquon Barkley, has to prove that they could be a good offense. Now, Saquon Barkley, that's going to be a tremendous matchup to watch, is Young and Barkley. That's going to be years to come now. That's going to be something to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're a young team. They did go. Sorry, let me correct myself. They took 3 offensive linemen. They took 2 tackles and a guard. And then I don't know if I did my research the right way, but I see like 5 linebackers. So obviously they're missing linebackers. I don't know.
No,
they took like 3 linebackers back to back to back. And that's they're obviously missing defense.
Well, also they run a 3-4. They don't run a 4-3, so they need extra linebackers.
Yeah, true.
I see here they brought in Blake Martinez over from the Packers, which was just a tackling machine last year, except for the NFC Championship game, which he couldn't tackle anybody. But I think he's a good player. They also drafted Xavier McKinney, the safety from Alabama, which is a stud. I mean, an absolute stud. They had a good draft, man. I mean, I remember when I was watching the draft, the Giants would come up and they'd pick somebody. I'm like, damn it, that's the guy I wanted for the Dolphins. A couple of picks.
Right before the Dolphins too.
We missed him by 3 picks. Damn it, we almost had him. Like they picked really, really, really well. I mean, at least for the guys that I like coming out of college, like they took all my players, man. They really did. I mean, so if they can develop those guys and they can keep building on that talent, I think they can do something in this turnaround that they got going on. Where next year they're not going to have the third pick overall. Maybe they win 7 games.
Yeah, they're definitely – the Redskins might not be the spoiler in this division. The Giants really
I think so.
are that team for like Dallas and Philadelphia. Better watch out because you have to beat the Giants. And that always becomes super interesting. Dallas Giants, in Dallas or New York and end of the season and – we always get those choke Cowboy stories.
Hey, the Cowboys don't want that game. The Cowboys want no part of that game. That game means whether or not they go to the playoffs or win the division. They don't want any part of that game. Trust me.
With that being said, they are the last game. They do get Dallas at home.
the NFL's not stupid. The NFL's not
the season.
They ain't no good television when they see it, man.
Yeah, so they're like, just in case they're fighting for the first overall, we'll give them the Giants.
Absolutely.
But their schedule does look – it's Pittsburgh at Chicago. Then they get San Fran at home, which is a good thing. It's a hard game to win anyway. I don't see them beating San Fran, but at least you get them at home, so you get that home advantage. Then they go to the Rams, to Dallas, at home for Washington, at Philadelphia. Then they get Tom Brady and Tampa at home. Washington, Philly, at Cincy, at Seattle is a rough game.
Oh.
They get Arizona at home, Cleveland at home, which it's 3 games, very rough 3 games. And then at Baltimore, and then Dallas at home. So those last 4 or 5 games are absolutely brutal for this team. And you never know. Maybe coming into those last 5, they might be, we'll see.
Battling, yeah.
Yeah, they might be in the talk. They're fighting for a wild card or, something like that. Maybe.
And that could happen. I mean, they could go in there, 5-5, 5-6, whatever, and maybe lose 3 out of their last 4 just because the opponents are hell. It's a freaking breakneck schedule.
Yeah, it's a rough ending of the year for the Giants. So, rebuilding. They have.
But I like what they're doing, man. You got yourself an all-world running back, a good quarterback. You got probably the best left tackle. You got the best tackle in the draft. You got probably one of the best safeties in the draft. You're building something good there. Now it's just a matter of how good is Joe Judge as a coach, especially when if a game gets tight, how good is the X's and O's? I mean, it's a first-time head coach. That's probably going to cost them a couple of games, and it'll be, learning process for everybody. Yeah. But,
a learning curve.
I do like what they're doing. And I think they're going to be a better team than they were last
year. Yeah, for sure. They're going to take a step forward. Now, how much forward, no one knows. And that brings us to Philadelphia. Philadelphia Eagles are
the greatest Super Bowl runs of all time.
They've been to the show.
Oh, and let me just start by saying I hope I don't offend anybody, but I've been to Philadelphia. You were with me. We were in Philadelphia. I forgot about that.
Classic picture feeling against the
love the historical aspect of the city. American history personified. Great. Not a fan of the sports teams. Not a fan of the sports fans. Have never been. That notwithstanding, I absolutely love Doug Peterson. I love him as a coach. I absolutely love what he did. He brought that team. They brought that city together. They went on a hell of a run. And even after all that, he still got enough juice to say, hey, we can make a couple of moves and go on another run. Let's do it again. I think he's a hell of a coach. I absolutely love Doug Peterson. I think he's lost a little bit too much talent. And obviously, as much as I like Carson Wentz, and
It
I
happens
really
with Super Bowl teams all the time, though.
can't stay healthy. But if you give me a healthy Carson Wentz and you give me Doug Peterson coaching that team with the defense they got, it's a coin flip, man. I think they can give anybody a game. I really, really do. They're a hell of a team. They're a hell of a well-coached team. And before we came on, like I said, if they lose a game, it's because the other team is maybe a slightly better in some area on the field, but Peterson's not going to get out-coached. He's just going to say, "Listen, man, I'm sorry, half my line is dead. Half my guys are done. I'm fighting with both hands tied behind my back. I'm still leaving by
all
one
my
point."
guys are hurt.
Yeah, but
and he's still in games. Like
he's still in games. He's absolutely still in games. I said I love Doug Peterson. The entire city of Philadelphia should love Doug Peterson. Should worship Doug Peterson, and should never speak badly, because you guys do. I know you do.
Yeah.
About Doug Peterson.
Shame on you.
Shame
on you. Being a Dolphin fan, let me tell you something.
Yeah, you don't know what heartache is.
If I had a coach like Doug Peterson,
oh my God,
team, I'd get a Doug Peterson tattoo or something something ridiculous. It would be look.
But I think that the
their
Eagles
worst enemy is their schedule this year. I mean, let's just be and injuries. Like Carson Wentz has to stay healthy.
He has to stay healthy.
Now they did.
What? Hold on. Point of order. They drafted Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
I wanted the Dolphins to draft Jalen Hurts. I love Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
They drafted Jalen Hurts. If Carson Wentz goes down for, I'm not saying the season, little turned ankle, he's out for 3 games, something like that.
Yeah.
And you got to put Jalen Hurts into this kind of offense, he can excel in this kind of offense. And then it's going to get real interesting.
Jalen Hurts.
Especially the airwaves of Philadelphia, where the fans like to complain about everything. It's going to be fun, man.
In my non-quarterback college expert opinion, draft opinion, non-expert, by the way, Jalen Hurts was easily the most underrated quarterback coming out of this draft. And not only was he underrated, when they started talking about the talented quarterbacks, his name disappeared.
Yeah.
It's
right.
like no one remembered Jalen Hurts.
You're absolutely right.
We saw him play in college.
You're absolutely right.
Monster games.
Absolutely right.
Is he Joe Burrow? No. Is he Tua? No. But he's definitely better than all the other 3 guys that they were talking about. For sure. I think, in my opinion. Some guys are, they have the pop, and with a little bit of polish, they can be better than Jalen Hurts. But as far as getting a guy that's ready to play in the NFL, Jalen Hurts was that guy.
I love him. I really, really do. I wanted the Dolphins to get him. I mean, I was crazy enough to say, take 2 in the first and him in the third. Are you crazy? Yes, I'm that crazy. Take him. Because he's won national championships. He's played a national championship. And yes, Tua came in when he was playing bad in that one game. Okay, he went to Oklahoma and almost won a Heisman.
Yeah.
In 1 year, on a brand new team, in a brand new school, and a brand new everything. In 1 year, he almost won a Heisman.
Yeah. He showed that he could play.
He's smart as hell. He's got incredible ability. Now, is he going to be a super duper NFL pro? Probably not. But that he's got the ability, especially running that kind of offense under Doug Peterson. If Wentz gets hurt, it's going to get real interesting, because I think that Jalen Hurts can do some things and can win some games and can make things real, real interesting in the locker room. Yeah. So, but that notwithstanding, going forward, I will say the Eagles are good enough to finish second, maybe even good enough to finish with a wild card. I just think that they lost a little bit too much offensive talent, both on their line and in skill positions. I know they drafted that kid Jalen Reagor, which is a super, super, super fast, lightning fast receiver. Great receiver. I don't know how much of a polished receiver he is. I don't know how much he's gonna, be a superlative guy in his rookie year. Plus, they lost Howard to the Dolphins, which is say what you want.
Yeah,
I gave you 900 yards and 8 touchdowns. it hurts.
Another question mark is who's going to be running the ball there. That's
Well,
going to be a big
they
deal.
like Miles Sanders. They went with Miles Sanders. He's the up and comer. He's the guy they're going to give the reins to. I like him. I think he can carry the load. But ultimately, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, that team is going to go as far as Carson Wentz's health is going to go.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is healthy. They're good enough to win that division, and that's with Dallas there. That's saying a lot. They're good enough to win that division. Probably not good enough to go back to the Super Bowl, but can make some noise in the playoffs if Carson Wentz is healthy.
Yeah, you don't.
He's not healthy.
For the life of you do not want to see Doug Peterson in the playoffs. I don't care who you are.
Right, exactly.
That's a rough game.
Exactly.
Now, like I said before, their schedule is brutal. It's by far the hardest schedule in this whole division. It is stupid. It's a dumb schedule. I mean, I don't know who in the NFL was like, let's give Philadelphia the schedule and see if they can make the playoffs, because you have to be out of your minds. But they start at Washington. That's a win. Then they get Rams at home. That should be a win at home. I'll give them one there. Versus Cincinnati is a win. But then they go at San Fran. Then they go to Pittsburgh. Then they get Baltimore. Then they get that Giants game, which is division game.
Yeah.
It is at home. But that's one of those games that for Philadelphia, if you want to be in the conversation in the playoffs, you have to beat the Giants at home.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And then they get Dallas right after that at home. Then you get the bye, and then it's at the Giants, at Cleveland. Then you get Seattle at home, at Green Bay, New Orleans at home, at Arizona, which if it was in Philadelphia, it's a different story. But at Arizona, that's a very interesting game late in the season. And then at Dallas, and then you end with Washington. So it is.
And you threw it. By the way, you kind of glazed over the team. They got to play New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Saints to go to the Super Bowl.
I didn't talk about it because I don't even think I need to talk about that. Like that's the game that they should lose. And I'm sorry.
That's a hell of a schedule to play the NFC West, to play the NFC East, and to still have to play New Orleans. You have to play the Ravens. You got to play the Steelers. You got to play the AFC North, the improved Browns. It's going to be tough.
It's a tough schedule.
It's going to be more to the point. Yeah. If Carson Wentz is healthy, that team could take on anybody. If he trips up, I don't care if it's for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or whatever it is, that team could spiral downward real fast.
Yeah.
Their defense can't hold that together. Like I said,
another thing is this: if they get to Philadelphia, if they get to the playoffs, whoever they get, if it's a wild card game or if they play a little bit better and they get like a home game in Philadelphia, something like that, mentally to get through this train wreck and still be in the playoffs with a young Carson Wentz and a young team and a good head coach that has been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. Now they can make some real noise.
Right. I totally agree with. Absolutely agree with.
Yeah. And then with that, we get to the Dallas Cowboys.
AKA the Real Housewives of Dallas-Fort Worth.
The Hollywood show of
oh my God. I don't know what is
storyline after storyline after storyline.
Like I don't know what is more of a reality show. The Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones or Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I mean, they are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they hog the spotlight more than LeBron James. Yes, I said it and I'll say it again.
Now we're arguing.
Every time I open a
news. Why are you going to talk about LeBron James like that, though?
Well, come on.
Always.
Okay, how about this? They hog the spotlight more than ESPN gives LeBron James the spotlight. How about that?
Okay, fine.
All right, cool. Enough about LeBron James, although he is a Cowboys fan, but that's neither here nor there. There was a segue. Between Dak Prescott wanting to be the highest paid guy and never winning an MVP or getting anywhere in the playoffs. Between Jerry Jones being Jerry Jones and just, everything. Every time he's in an article, it's like something out of Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Does anyone else run the front office in that team, or is it just Jerry Jones?
I think his son His son is like the co-GM or something like that. Like he's starting to give the reins to his son a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, but ultimately it's him. Then they lose Byron Jones to the Dolphins. Their defense still hadn't put it all together. They went out and got Mike McCarthy, who, with all due respect to anybody who likes him or hates him, I never thought he was that great of a coach. And I got a friend who's a Packers fan. I mean, a deep-hearted Packers fan, and he agrees with me. McCarthy went and lived and died by the arm of Aaron Rodgers, and they don't have Aaron Rodgers in Dallas. So
no. Hell no.
So I mean, McCarthy is being given a hell of a team on paper. I love their line. They got Ezekiel Elliott. They got Dak. Like him or hate him, he's a good quarterback. They have a good defense. Maybe not a great defense, like a good defense. They have a great stadium to play in.
They were top 5 last year, no?
Yeah.
Defense was...
Yeah, but remember they lost Byron Jones. They have lost a couple of pieces off their defense. But is Dak going to get him to the playoffs? When he gets him to the playoffs, is he going to do anything? Is Ezekiel Elliott going to, molest an Ewok or something, one of his brethren? Because, by the way, he looks just like an Ewok.
I've seen the memes.
He's always in the news. Like I read more about him in the news than he read about him. Oh, man, he's getting ready for training camp, or he wants to have a 15-yard season, or he's going after the MVP, or he's got the best line in football. No, I don't read any of that. It's always like something out of Kim Kardashian's world. It's like, dude, stop already. Like, just play football.
And he's
get your money, and it shouldn't be that hard. You have arguably the best line in football for a long time now.
You and me joke about it, but the truth is that the Dallas Cowboys have an offensive line that you or me could run through. I'm not taking anything away from Zeke.
Nobody will touch me.
Talented. He's super talented. I'm not taking anything away from Zeke.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Stop it with the nonsense that he's the best running back in the league.
Exactly.
Because the Cowboys, for the past 6-7 years, have always had the best running back in the league. Not because of the running back, but because of the offensive line. They open gaping holes. Like, how do you not run through that?
Yes, absolutely. But you know what? All that nonsense, at the end of the day, if they get to the playoffs, which I think they're going to, I really do. I got them in the NFC title game. If they get to, it catches up to you. And Mike McCarthy, if he loses the locker room, and then, with all the BS with Jason Garrett for so many years, and Jerry Jones getting involved, and Dak's not happy with this, and this guy's not happy with that, and it's always a drama. Like, if that grates on you, that really brings the team down, especially when you're in the middle of a playoff run, or God forbid, a Super Bowl run. If you've noticed, Super Bowl winning teams don't go through that. They might go through that afterwards in the offseason when they're done. But they don't go through it. Like Philly didn't go through it. New England didn't go through it. They don't go. They gear up.
Yeah.
So my only thing with Dallas is, if they can just get out of their own way, if they can steer clear of the off the field BS and just make the plays, maybe McCarthy's pull something out of his hat, or all he really kind of has to do is guide that team. I really think they're talented enough to win the division, to get a first-round bye, and to probably get to the NFC title game, and then it's a toss-up. You never know. Maybe you don't get to the Super Bowl, but they're not going to get there with all this drama.
Now,
they really need to control the drama.
Talking about drama, and because it is the Dallas Cowboys, the signing of the offseason was Andy Dalton for them, the backup quarterback.
Yes.
So, talking about drama, Andy Dalton, do you ever see him this year? I think we see him start eventually. Do you think
only if Dak gets hurt? I mean, if he comes in because Dak is not productive, or if not, or for not because he's not hurt, but like if he's not productive, if he's not sharp, or he's playing really, really bad, that team is in a tailspin. Because even and maybe Dalton will try to pull him out of it, but they're going to lose a couple of games before Dalton rights it, and it won't be Dalton's fault. Because you're talking about a guy who has argued the entire offseason that he wants to be the highest paid quarterback. He just signed his $31 million tender. They could franchise him again next year. He wants to be the highest paid guy. He's got good stats, but he's gotten them to the divisional round on Ezekiel Elliott's back and that line, and a couple of Amari Cooper long balls.
I'm never the guy to say, pull a guy because he might be affecting the game too much. But in a team that has a lot of drama already, I think the one thing that Mike McCartney has to do is if Dak does not perform with the team that he has,
Right.
you really have no excuse not to win the division, and you have no excuse to at least get to the playoffs.
Right.
Let's say, look, you're not the number one, the number one seed or number 2 seed, but you have to get to the playoffs.
Right.
Enough is enough with the Dallas Cowboys underperforming. They've underperformed for a very long time, and they have talent. They have a good offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
They have Amari Cooper. They have Zeke Elliott. Whoever's the coach there has to be able to see Dak Prescott, and if he's not performing, you need to, by week 3, if you lose, let's say, now they start at the Rams, then they go to Philadelphia, and they go at Seattle. It's a rough 3 games. Atlanta should take a step forward. They've kind of disappeared.
I mean,
they should take a step forward.
They can start 0-3.
But, yeah, that being said, if they start 0-3, you have to, by all means, at home, week 4, at home, you get the Cleveland Browns. If you're 0-3, I'm sorry, Dak, but you didn't deserve the paycheck you wanted. Wow. You signed the franchise tag. Good for you, and I'm glad you did. But now it's time to see Andy Dalton get in there. And what better game than the Browns?
True. I hope for the sake of the sake of football.
I had to throw in the drama because
I hope it doesn't come to that. Because, by the way, as much as you think that's what they need to do, if they do that, they will enhance the drama, not lessen it. It'll be multiplied because now you have a quarterback controversy with a guy you brought in and a guy who's supposed to lead you that you just paid $34 million to who's sitting on your bench.
Winning solves everything, bro. But winning solves everything.
I don't think it's going to get to that point. I think they're going to win 11, 12, maybe even 13 games. I think they're just that talented. But I also think ultimately it's what they're going to do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because if they get to the playoffs and they have a first-round bye, and I don't know, and I'm just going to throw out a name, whether it's San Fran or whether it's Green Bay or whether it's, somebody comes into Dallas and beats them in the divisional round again and they don't get to the NFC title game, I mean, it's not working. It's whatever you're doing is not working. Something is not working. Maybe it was McCarthy, maybe it was Dak, but it's not working. So I don't think it's going to get to that point. I think it's good that they got Dalton. I think Dalton will help Dak out a lot. Also
helps the locker room, more importantly.
Yeah. But I still see them in the NFC Championship game. I still see them winning 11 to 13 games because they're just that talented. All they need is a healthy Ezekiel Elliott and a healthy line, and for Dak to just be good.
Have a more good.
Hell, he almost threw 5,000 yards last year. He had 28, 30 touchdowns and 9 picks. That's not. I mean, if you got those kind of numbers offensively.
Those are monster numbers.
Yeah, maybe your defense isn't all-world shutdown defense, but you should be winning games.
Yeah,
you should be winning games, 21-14, 21-13, 21-10. You should be winning games. I still have them in the NFC Championship game. I don't know if they're going to take that step to get to the Super Bowl. I think they have all the talent in the world. But I also think that it's going to come a point where, like I said, if somebody comes into Dallas and beats them, in the divisional round, you're going to have to start, reassessing this and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe this plan is not working.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they've already had a go at it. They've had Dak. They tried it for Amari Cooper. They built the line. They got Ezekiel Elliott. Everybody's getting paid. Everybody's getting money. And they're still not winning. I mean, yeah, you're winning the division, whatever, getting in the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. But that's not what they want. Jerry Jones wants another Super Bowl.
Yeah, this team, not to say that they're Super Bowl or bust, but they kind of are Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think they genuinely are. Now if they get to the NFC Championship game and they lose on a last-second thing to the Saints, that's fine. I think their fans will let them slide on that because they got there and they made it interesting and everybody took a step forward, et cetera, et cetera. But anything short of that, you know, yeah, they're going to have to reassess.
Look, for Dallas, you have to get to the playoffs. Regardless of how you do it, you have to get there. If not, no one's like, I won't even be happy for you. I'm not even a Dallas fan, and I'll be like, I can't believe the Dallas Cowboys are not in the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, depending who you get matched up with, if you get at home or away or whatever the case may be, you have to win that first round, maybe, you know, at least give it a real good shot and then make noise. You have to make noise. If you get into the playoffs and you make noise and Dak has a good game and it's one of these, you know, last-minute games that goes down to like a field goal, all right, fine. Look, you tip your hat, you go, we lost to a better team, but we made the playoffs and we got to where we wanted to. You know, not necessarily where we wanted to, but it's a step forward. But it's a team that you look at the whole NFC, and they have all the pieces. They have offensive weapons. They have defensive weapons. They have a new coach, which is what everyone has been, you know, screaming for, is to get rid of Garrett. Fine, we got rid of Garrett. Now let's see what happens. They have to get to the playoffs. That's the most important.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
If they don't get to the playoffs,
man, oh boy,
straight down.
Yeah, they're blowing that thing up. They're blowing that team up, and they're starting to trade people. They're starting to cut salary and starting all over. They don't get to the playoffs, it's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get real ugly.
Yeah.
But that notwithstanding, for the sake of sakes, because there was a time in my life that I actually was a Dallas Cowboy fan, because I had to grow up a Dallas Cowboy fan. When I lived in Texas for 5 years.
It was perfect. It's okay.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I do see them in the NFC Championship game. I don't yet see them in the Super Bowl, although I think they could get there. But again, Dallas Cowboy fans, Dallas Cowboys, if anybody is listening to me, stop the drama. Stop living like the Real Housewives of Dallas-Fort Worth. Let it go.
I will tell you,
play football. Do it on the field and stop already, man. Really, stop. It's not fun anymore.
Coming from a Miami Dolphin fan, first off, I'm tired of hearing your drama. And second,
stop already.
You guys have the talent and you're still not getting there.
You know, I mean, seriously, I'm not even a fan of the show, and I'd rather watch the Real Housewives than watch these guys, because at least those women are funny. It's okay to laugh at them because they're funny. They're insane, but they're funny.
Yeah.
This isn't funny anymore when it comes to these guys.
Most of the time, it's kind of disappointing because you turn on Sunday, 4 o'clock, and it's like Dallas versus whoever, and you're like, oh, this should be a good game, and it's just Dallas getting pounded.
Yeah, it's not.
Like, what's going on here? Like, where's
and you look at the sideline and the body language and the bickering and the oh
That's
my
why
God.
I think Andy Dalton is going to be very important for this team, because he's kind of the guy that he's going to start slapping helmets and like, pick up your head, let's go. You have the talent, you know, and he's going to be that veteran voice that has been to the playoffs and knows how to get there. And he's going to be on the sideline, like, you know, pumping guys up, I think.
I do know a lot of Cowboys fans, and they've all told me that they are very happy with the Dalton signing to a man. I mean, they already like him. I'm not saying that he's the savior, but it was a smart signing. Everybody agrees with it, because if things go sideways, he's the guy that can keep that team afloat. Maybe even get them to the playoffs without Dak if everything goes sideways on them. Yeah. And I think he can help that. If it doesn't go sideways on him, he could still be there to help Dak. If, you know, he's injured for a game, he's out for a game, he can keep the ball rolling. He's a very good veteran signing, and I definitely believe that. But like I said, if it comes to the point that he's got to be your starter by week 3 because you're 0-3,
you're in trouble. You're in real big trouble.
I mean, just start recording the Real Housewives of Dallas-Fort Worth.
You're in real big trouble.
And just go home. Just go home and forget about it.
Yeah. But with that being said, NFC East in the books. Dallas are going to win it, and they have to win it. Philadelphia's going to be interesting. They have a hard schedule, but they are a good team. They're going to be fun to watch, like always. Carson Wentz is one of the funnest guys in the NFL to watch at quarterback.
Yes, absolutely.
Spectacular player. And the Giants, Saquon Barkley, best player in the division. Definitely rebuilding, but definitely taking a step forward. Doing some good stuff over there in New York. And then the Redskins, let's see what they could do. Their defense is going to be super tough.
Yeah.
And Ron Rivera, head coach, and they definitely are in the rebuilding process. But at least they have something interesting to talk about and interesting to watch on Sunday now to see how good they can really be.
Right.
With that being said, Johnny, anything?
I guarantee anybody, if you're just a fan of football, and this is gonna happen a lot, whether it's Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, if there's an NFC East game on, just watch it. Just watch it because it's gonna be intriguing. It doesn't matter if one team is 5-0 and the other team's 0-5. Watch the game. It's going to be intriguing. These guys have been going at it for decades, pretty much longer than I've been alive. I remember my entire life has been every time there's an NFC East divisional rival game, it doesn't matter what the score is. It doesn't matter what the records are. These guys, it's kind of like college football rivalry. They don't like each other. They love each other, but they don't like each other. And they play, they play balls out, man. And it's always fun to watch.
And banger games all the time.
Yeah, it's always fun to watch. And it's going to be fun to see both on and off the field how the season unfolds for all these teams, and the ones that take a step forward, and God forbid if someone take a step back.
Yeah. And everyone, this is our first official YouTube video. So like, subscribe, follow us, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.